I'm very torn with how I feel about Myth: A Frozen Tale, but at the same time, I feel like I obviously didn't get the full experience because this is meant to be a VR film, but it was re-rendered or remastered or whatever the technical term is to be uploaded onto Disney Plus so that those of us who haven't had the VR experience can watch it and enjoy it as a short narrative. So I'm kind of discussing this from the perspective of somebody who hasn't been able to enjoy the VR experience. I feel like it would be better and I would rate it more highly if I could enjoy it through VR. But since they have released it in a way that you can enjoy it without the VR headset, I am allowed to kind of discuss it in that way. But this was released in 2019, kind of coincides with Frozen 2, written and directed by Jeff Gipson. And really interestingly, if you watch it on Disney Plus, they talk about it at the beginning before you actually watch it, kind of explaining the history of it and the background. And admittedly, I found that part of this more interesting than the actual presentation of Myth itself. And I found it to be very underdeveloped and a little bit underwhelming, but again, maybe if I'd had the VR experience, it would have been more immersive. But watching it just without the VR headset, I just didn't think it was very interesting. It does champion the concept of sitting around a fire telling stories and telling these myths and legends. And I'm not going to go into too much detail about this, but it focuses on these different spirits. I'm not sure if that's the word they used, of these different creatures and different beings, and they've actually all disappeared because of the role that humanity played. And in order for them to come back, humanity has to do something. And on the surface, you can leave it at that, and it's a beautiful animation. And I will admit, even without the VR part of it, it's still visually stunning. The animation style is absolutely gorgeous. It's exactly the style I would have expected from Frozen. And the purple colours against the blacks, it looks mythical. It looks really beautiful. I have to say, I cannot really fault the animation style at all. It really is truly stunning. And I think the actual narrative with these elements, I think that's the word that they use, these different elements, and how the human element or spirit or whatever it is caused this problem and caused these elements to kind of disappear or go on holiday, disappear for a while. I think it's really powerful, and you could analyze a lot of things about this and analyze a lot of what that means about humanity and what we have done to become out of sync and what role we have played in this. And I think from that perspective, it could be really interesting. But the actual presentation of the narrative visually was beautiful, but the way it developed could have been more. It's very brief. It's not overly complicated. I don't think the younger child watching this will really understand what's going on anyway, so they could have made it a little bit more complicated without changing the experience of the younger viewer, but while making it a bit more philosophical and a bit more meaningful for the older viewer. It's not amazing. It's not terrible. Visually, it's certainly beautiful. I think with VR it would have been stunning, but the actual narrative itself still feels a bit underdeveloped. It's got a lot there. You could do a lot with this concept, and I feel like they just came up a bit short by not developing the actual narrative enough, and leaving too many questions unanswered, leaving too much to our imagination. I think it could have been longer, a bit more detailed, answered a few more questions, or proposed answers to some questions. But ultimately, visually it's stunning. Check it out for the gorgeous animation, but don't expect anything too compelling with regards to the actual narrative itself.